The forest was quiet, too quiet for the aliens who had just landed their small craft in the middle of Earth's wilderness. The trees stretched tall and endless, their branches blocking the moonlight. The soil smelled strange to them, and every rustle of leaves carried a threat in their minds. These aliens had crossed galaxies, fought dangerous predators, and scanned countless planets. Yet something about Earth made their hearts pound faster. They had been told this world was primitive, simple, and weak. But the readings on their scanners told a different story. The air was rich with life. Strange heat signals moved all around them. The shadows seemed alive. One of them, taller than the rest, raised a clawed hand. "Silence," he whispered in his own language. The others froze. Their ears twitched as a sound rolled across the forest. It was deep. It was sharp. It was nothing like the birds and insects that had been filling the night with noise before. It was a howl. The sound stretched through the trees, echoing again and again. To the aliens, it was not a simple noise. It was a warning. It was a predator claiming its territory. Their eyes widened. They gripped their weapons tighter. Fear spread among them, though none of them wanted to admit it. "This world is dangerous," one of them muttered. "We were told humans are weak, but if their planet hides beasts like this..." Before he could finish, the howl came again, closer, louder, sharper. It seemed to tear through the night like claws on stone. Even the wind stopped. Even the leaves seemed to hold their breath. The leader hissed, "Weapons ready. If the monster comes, we kill it before it kills us." The others nodded, though their hands trembled. Then something strange happened. Through the bushes, small footsteps approached. But they were not heavy like a predator's. They were light, almost playful. The aliens turned in panic, aiming their glowing rifles at the sound. The bushes parted. It was not a monster. It was a human child. The boy looked no older than 6 or 7. His cheeks were round, his eyes bright with wonder, and his small hands clutched the air as if catching fireflies. He wore a simple jacket, red and grey, a little torn at the edges. His hair was messy, and his smile was wide. The aliens froze. They could not understand it. This fragile being had walked into the forest at night, where the terrifying howl had shaken even them. The child looked up at the tall, armored aliens. For a moment he tilted his head like he was studying them. Then, to their shock, he laughed. A bright, innocent laugh that seemed louder than any weapon. The leader snarled, "Stay back. This is not possible. No child would dare walk here." But the boy ignored the threat in his voice. He pointed behind them, toward the darkness where the howl had come from. His little finger shook with excitement. "Did you hear that?" he said, his voice full of joy. "That's my puppy!" The aliens blinked. Puppy. They exchanged confused looks. Surely the human was lying. No child could call that monstrous howl a harmless word. Another howl thundered through the forest, closer than before. The ground vibrated with it. The aliens almost fired their weapons, but the boy only clapped his hands, giggling. "He's coming! He's coming!" The aliens' hearts raced. They wanted to retreat. Every instinct screamed danger. Yet they could not move. Something about the boy's calmness, his innocence, kept them frozen in place. The bushes shook. A massive shadow rose from the darkness. The aliens lifted their rifles, ready to fire. The child ran forward. "No!" the leader shouted. But the boy did not listen. He ran straight toward the shadow, arms wide open. The alien's mind spun. Was this human insane? Did he not fear death? The shape stepped into the moonlight. The aliens gasped. Its glowing eyes pierced the night, its massive body covered in fur. Its mouth opened, teeth shining in the pale light. Its growl rumbled like thunder. The aliens thought they were about to die. But the boy only laughed louder. He leaped forward, wrapping his arms around the beast's neck. The monster lowered its head, wagging its tail, licking the boy's face with a tongue as big as his hand. The alien's jaws dropped. Their fear melted into confusion. This was not a predator. This was not a monster. This was a dog, a giant puppy, taller than the child, but with eyes full of playfulness, not hunger. Its growl had been only a call for attention, not a roar of danger. The child giggled and patted the dog's head. "See, I told you? He's just a puppy." The alien's hands shook, but now not from fear, from shame. They, soldiers of the galaxy, had trembled before an Earth pet. The leader lowered his weapons slowly. His glowing eyes narrowed. If this is a puppy, then what monsters does Earth truly keep? The night answered with silence. Only the child's laughter and the dog's happy panting filled the air, but deep inside the aliens' minds, the seed of fear had grown stronger. If humans called this beast harmless, what would they call dangerous? The aliens could not move. Their eyes darted from the child's smiling face to the giant puppy that towered over him. The beast's growl had been terrifying, its shadow monstrous, but now it wagged its tail like a harmless pet. Still, none of the aliens lowered their weapons completely. They had fought beasts on other worlds, creatures with trickery in their blood. What if this was the same? What if the animal only pretended to be gentle until it was close enough to strike? The leader leaned forward, his voice a low hiss. "Be careful, little human. That thing is no friend. Step away before it turns on you." The child tilted his head, almost confused. His tiny hand scratched the creature's ears. The puppy leaned into him, eyes half shut with comfort. "No," the boy said softly. "He's my puppy. He doesn't hurt anyone. He just sounds scary." The aliens glanced at one another. Sounded scary. That howl had shaken their hearts. Even their strongest soldier had nearly dropped his weapon. Yet this child dismissed it as nothing. Another alien spoke, his voice trembling. "Why does it look so big? So dangerous? On our worlds, a howl like that means death." The child only laughed, a sound so innocent it felt out of place in the dark forest. "Because you don't know him. He just wants to play. He was calling for me." The aliens stepped back, uncertain. The creature sniffed the air, its glowing eyes landing on them. Their claws tightened around their rifles. Their breath hitched. Then the puppy did something none of them expected. It barked. The sound ripped through the night, so loud it made the ground shake. To the child, it was playful. To the aliens, it was thunder. They almost fired in panic. Their instincts screamed to kill it before it killed them. But the boy only clapped his hands again, grinning. "See, he's happy, happy." The aliens had no word for such madness. How could anyone stand so close to a creature that powerful and call it happy? One of them whispered, "Humans. They live with this?" The leader clenched his teeth. He wanted to shout, to warn the boy, but something stopped him. It was the boy's eyes, clear, fearless, and full of trust. The leader had seen warriors stare into death with less calm. This was not bravery. This was something deeper, something alien to them. The child looked at their confusion and smiled wider. "You're scared, aren't you?" The words cut through them like a blade. Scared. He had seen their trembling hands, their twitching eyes. A child, fragile and small, had called out their fear. The leader hissed, "We are not afraid. We have fought predators that would devour your kind in seconds." The boy only shrugged. "But you're afraid of my puppy?" The aliens' armor hummed, their rifles glowed, yet none of it mattered. The boy's words carried more weight than their weapons. The dog nudged him gently, almost protective. The boy hugged its furry neck again. He doesn't like when people are scared of him. He just wants to be loved. The aliens stared in silence. They had crossed stars, believing humans were weak, believing Earth would be easy to conquer. Yet here they stood, paralyzed by a child's pet. The forest answered with more sounds, strange rustles, hidden movements, distant cries. Every noise made the aliens tense, but the boy walked forward calmly, the puppy at his side. "Come," he said, waving them along. "I'll show you." The leader almost barked at him to stop, but curiosity burned stronger than fear now. They followed slowly, weapons still raised. Each step felt like walking into a trap. As they moved deeper into the forest, the child kept talking, his voice light. "When I was little, I was afraid of him too. His howls made me cry, but then I realized he wasn't angry. He was lonely. That's why he howls. He wants someone to answer," the aliens whispered among themselves. Lonely? Could such a terrifying sound come from something seeking comfort? The boy looked over his shoulder at them. "You think Earth is full of monsters, but maybe you just don't understand us. Maybe you're listening wrong." The aliens fell silent. They had never been challenged like this, not by a human soldier, not by a weapon, but by a child. And he was right. They had assumed danger where there was none. Their fear had blinded them. The puppy growled again, a deep rumble that shook their bones. They raised their rifles instinctively, but the boy giggled, rubbing its head. "See, he's just saying hello." The aliens lowered their weapons slightly, but the unease never left. If this was a greeting, what did anger sound like? As they walked further, the night grew colder, the shadows thicker. Strange lights flickered between the trees. The aliens' scanners beeped warnings. Something else was moving out there. The boy noticed nothing. He skipped happily, humming a tune, his puppy beside him. But the leader felt it, the same fear returning deeper now. Not from the dog, not from the boy, but from the forest itself. And for the first time he wondered, if humans raised children in a world like this, what kind of strength did they grow into? The boy stopped suddenly. His eyes lit up. He pointed into the darkness again. "Do you hear that?" Another sound echoed, a roar, far louder, far deeper than the puppy's. The aliens froze. The boy only smiled. The roar shook the ground. It was not the playful bark of the puppy, nor the echoing howl they had heard before. This was something different, heavier, deeper, and far more threatening. It rolled through the forest like thunder crashing against the mountains. The aliens froze. Their scanners flared with warnings. Their instincts screamed at them to retreat. Every story of predators they had ever fought rushed back into their minds. Their claws tightened around their weapons. The child, however, did not flinch. He simply turned his head toward the sound, his eyes shining with excitement. His puppy growled in response, but not with fear, more like anticipation. The leader's voice cracked through the silence. "Another one? This planet hides too many creatures. This cannot be safe." The boy giggled, hugging his puppy's fur. "Don't worry. He's not dangerous either." "Not dangerous?" The aliens exchanged nervous glances. That roar could have crushed their courage on any battlefield. Yet here stood a child, smiling at it as if welcoming an old friend. The bushes ahead trembled. Branches snapped. Heavy footsteps pressed into the earth. Something large was coming. The aliens aimed their rifles. Their bodies trembled, though they tried to mask it. "Stay back!" the leader shouted. Though his voice lacked its usual power, the boy ignored him. He stepped forward, one hand holding onto his puppy, the other pointing toward the trees. The darkness split open, and the creature stepped into the moonlight. It was enormous, far larger than the dog. Its body was thick with muscle, its chest rising and falling like a drum. Its eyes glowed yellow, and its jaws opened to reveal teeth as long as the aliens' blades. The aliens gasped. Their weapons shook. They had faced monsters on dying worlds, but this one looked like death-given form. The boy smiled wider. "That's his brother." The aliens nearly dropped their weapons. "Brother?" This second beast, towering like a mountain, was related to the playful puppy. The child reached out. The massive creature stepped closer, its growl rattling the ground. The aliens prepared to fire, certain it would strike, but then, to their shock, the huge beast lowered its head. The boy's small hand touched its snout. The creature's eyes softened, its growl fading into a low, rumbling purr. The puppy barked happily, wagging its tail as if greeting family. The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. The leader's voice was low, almost broken. If this is another puppy, then what kind of world is this? What kind of children does it raise?" The boy looked up at him, smiling innocently. "He's just bigger. He looks scary, but he loves me." The aliens' weapons lowered slightly. For the first time, doubt filled their hearts. Not doubt of the creature, but of themselves. They had been wrong. They had thought Earth was weak, filled with prey. But here was a child, treating monsters like friends, while they, soldiers of the galaxy, trembled behind their weapons. The enormous dog sniffed the aliens, its breath hot against their faces. They almost screamed, their armor buzzing with panic alerts. But the boy patted its side. "It's okay. They're not bad." The beast turned away, satisfied, and sat down heavily on the ground. Its golden eyes stayed on the aliens, watching calm but unblinking. The boy climbed onto its back, laughing. "See, he's gentle." The aliens stared, speechless. Their minds twisted. This was no weakness. This was strength disguised as innocence. One of them whispered, "If humans grow up unafraid of monsters, what will they fear?" The leader clenched his claws. The truth gnawed at him. He had feared Earth's howl, feared the shadow in the trees, feared what he did not understand. Yet this child had faced it with laughter, and the most terrifying thought was this: if human children already lived beside such beasts without fear, what kind of warriors would they become as adults? The forest fell silent again, but only for a moment. Another sound came, deeper and more distant. A roar greater than both dogs combined, shaking the air itself. The trees quivered. Stones rolled across the ground. The alien's scanners lit up with red warnings. The boy turned his head slowly, eyes sparkling. He whispered a single word, as if speaking to himself. "Mom." The aliens almost stumbled back. If this was the mother, what size, what power, what fury would she bring? Their weapons hummed. Their armor systems screamed danger, and yet the boy only smiled brighter, as if the night had turned into a game. The leader's chest tightened. He felt something he had never felt before, not fear of the beasts, but fear of the humans who called them family. The puppy barked once more, tail wagging. The giant dog rumbled in its chest, and the child patted both of them gently, his laughter echoing like a spark in the darkness. The aliens realized then, Earth was not weak. It was terrifying not because of its beasts, but because of the people who grew up unafraid of them. And in that moment, the true encounter had only just begun. The forest was still trembling from the distant roar. The aliens remained frozen, their weapons clutched in shaking claws, their armor humming with warning signals. They had come to Earth believing themselves fearless, but now every step, every sound of this strange world reminded them of their weakness. The child, however, did not share their fear. He stroked the side of the giant dog as though calming it, while the smaller puppy nuzzled his hand. To him, the dark woods were not dangerous. They were familiar. The leader could not hold back his words. "How do you live like this, human child? How do you laugh when death surrounds you?" The boy looked up, confused by the question. His eyes reflected the moonlight. "Death, this is life. They're my friends. Why should I be afraid?" The aliens shuddered. On their homeworlds, predators were never friends. You killed them, or they killed you. There was no middle ground. And yet, here stood a human child, smiling at creatures that could crush him in seconds. Another alien muttered, his voice shaking, "If this is how children of Earth see monsters, then what do their warriors see?" The leader stayed silent. He already knew the answer. Their armies, their weapons, their entire species had always believed Earth would be an easy conquest. But fear here meant nothing. These humans did not fear the roars that made his bones ache. They did not tremble at shadows that broke his courage. Even a child mocked what his soldiers dreaded. The boy stood up, patting the massive dog's head. "When you're scared, you stop seeing the truth. You only see danger. But when you're not scared, you see what's real. He just wants love." His words were simple, but they cut deeper than any blade. The aliens lowered their weapons slowly, shame burning in their chests. They had misread the world, misread the sound, misread everything. The forest spoke again, branches cracking, unseen creatures moving. The alien scanners flickered with signals, dozens of life forms nearby, each one large enough to crush them. Their claws trembled. Instinct told them to retreat to their ship, flee into the stars. The boy laughed softly. "Don't worry. Most of them don't come close. They know I'm here." The leader's throat tightened. "They know I'm here." Those words echoed louder than the roar. It was not the beasts that held power. It was the child. His presence alone seemed to calm the forest. His innocence, his lack of fear, made even monsters pause. One soldier whispered, "How can they tame the untamable? How can they walk among predators and call them family?" The leader looked at the boy, then at the giant dog sitting watchful and calm. He had no answer. The child sat down on the grass, pulling the smaller puppy into his arms. Its fur gleamed under the moon, its tail wagging lazily. He smiled at the aliens, as if they were playmates, not intruders from another galaxy. "You're afraid because you don't understand. But if you spend time with them, you'll see. They're not monsters. They're just loud. The aliens had no reply. Loud! That word felt too small, too harmless. But it was the truth through human eyes. The leader felt anger rising, not at the boy but at himself. His kind had misjudged Earth. They had mistaken innocence for weakness, noise for death, and fear for truth. If even their best soldiers could not stand against a puppy's howl, how could they ever stand against a world that raised warriors without fear? The boy laid back on the grass, staring at the stars. He howls so I know where he is. He wants me to come. It's not to scare me. It's to tell me he's waiting. The aliens fell into silence. For them, howls meant territory, threats, violence. But to this child, a howl was an invitation, a call of love. It was the same sound, but humans had given it a different meaning. The leader finally spoke, his voice heavy. Perhaps the danger is not the beasts. Perhaps the danger is you. The boy sat up, blinking. Me? Yes, the leader whispered. You're kind. If you can stand before monsters without fear, then no one in the galaxy will ever break you. The words weighed heavy in the air. The child did not understand, but the aliens did. Fear was their weapon, their shield, their way of controlling others. But what use was fear against a species that laughed at it? The giant dog rose suddenly, ears twitching. The smaller puppy growled. The aliens snapped back into panic, raising their weapons again. The leader's heart sank. The earth shook softly with each step approaching. The air seemed heavier. The animals in the forest fell silent. The very trees leaned away. The mother. The child's smile widened as he turned his head toward the darkness. The aliens held their breath, their eyes glowing with dread. If this beast appeared now, they were finished. But the boy's voice cut through their terror, soft and innocent. She always comes when she hears me laugh. The leader's claws tightened. He realized something horrifying. Earth did not belong to monsters. Earth belonged to humans who walked among them, untouched, unbroken, and unafraid. And if fear could not control humans, then nothing could. The forest seemed to hold its breath. Even the wind stopped moving through the trees. Every alien felt the ground pulse beneath their feet as heavy steps drew nearer. The mother was coming. Her presence was not hidden. It could not be. The earth itself trembled with each step, as if warning all creatures to make way. The scanners screamed with readings higher than anything they had ever seen. Size, strength, heat, all off the charts. The soldiers gripped their weapons, their claws trembling. Their instincts screamed at them to run, but their training bound them in place. They were warriors, yet never before had they felt so small. Then she appeared. The mother stepped from the darkness into the pale moonlight. Her fur shimmered like silver, thick and powerful. Her head rose higher than the tallest alien, her eyes glowing like suns caught in shadow. Each breath she took shook the air, each exhale misting like smoke. Her teeth gleamed sharp as blades, and her growl was a storm-given voice. The aliens froze. Their armor systems triggered alerts. Every part of them knew this was death walking, but the child did not fear her. He ran forward, waving his arms. "Mama," he called out, laughing. The great beast lowered her head. Her massive snout pushed close to him, and her glowing eyes softened. She nuzzled him gently, careful not to harm his small frame. The boy giggled, pressing his forehead against hers. The two smaller dogs barked joyfully, wagging their tails. To the aliens, it was madness. To the boy, it was love. The leader's claws shook. He had never seen such a thing, not on any world. Predators of this size never bowed to children. They consumed, they destroyed. Yet here, a human child commanded loyalty greater than fear. The boy turned toward the aliens, his small hand resting against the giant beast's nose. "See? She's not scary. She just wanted to make sure I was safe." Safe. That word echoed inside the leader's mind like a wound. A creature that could shatter their ship in a single strike was here to protect a child. Not to hunt, not to kill. To protect, the leader whispered. "This is not possible. You live among monsters. You call them family. And you are not afraid." The boy's eyes glimmered with innocence. "Why should I be afraid? They love me. I love them." "That's enough." The aliens' weapons lowered, not because they chose to, but because their strength to hold them was gone. Shame and dread sank into their hearts. They had come to conquer, but what they found was far worse. If even a child on Earth could stand beside monsters without fear, what would happen when these children grew up? What kind of soldiers would they become? What kind of armies would they raise? One alien muttered softly, "Fear is useless here." The leader clenched his teeth. He understood the truth now. Their greatest weapon across the stars, the power to frighten, to make enemies bow with terror, was nothing against humans. Fear did not bind them. Fear did not break them. Even a child laughed at it. The mother beast rumbled, a deep sound that shook the trees. The aliens stepped back instinctively, their courage snapping like fragile glass. But the boy only patted her fur. "She says you don't belong here." The leader's breath caught. It was not just the beasts they feared now. It was the bond between them and the humans. A bond no weapon could sever. He looked at his soldiers. Their eyes glowed with the same realization. They had not discovered weakness. They had uncovered humanity's greatest strength. The boy smiled, unaware of the weight of his words, unaware of the terror twisting inside their hearts. "Don't be scared. She won't hurt you. Not unless you hurt me." The aliens almost collapsed under the truth. This child, small and fragile, held more power over them than any warlord. Not because of weapons, not because of armies, but because Earth had taught him never to fear what others ran from. The mother's glowing eyes stayed fixed on them. The aliens felt her warning without words. The leader lowered his rifle completely. His voice cracked with something he had never spoken before. "We cannot win against them. We cannot win against a people who laugh at monsters." The forest fell silent again, save for the boy's gentle laughter and the soft panting of his pets. The aliens turned back slowly toward their ship. Each step felt heavier than the last. They had come to Earth to measure human strength. They thought they would see weakness, but instead they had seen something far more dangerous. Fearless children, loyal monsters, a bond no galaxy could break. As they left the clearing, the boy's voice followed them, light and cheerful. "Come play with us next time. My puppy likes new friends." The words cut like blades. They had not met warriors. They had met innocence, and innocence had shattered them more completely than any battle ever could. Back at the ship, the leader gave the order in a broken whisper. "We leave. Now." The engines roared, lifting the craft into the night sky. The aliens did not speak. Their minds replayed the sight of the child and his beasts again and again, and as the stars swallowed them, a single truth burned inside them all. Earth was not prey. Earth was not weak. Earth was untouchable, because no army in the galaxy could fight a people who taught their children to tame monsters and smile in the face of fear.